Was Dame done wrong here?
No. For a couple of reasons. Number one, I got to go to Mark Spears' tweet, which I think clarifies better than anything. He said, this is a win-win. Don't feel sad for Dame. Before his injury, he was seriously contemplating declining that option, that $54+ million option on the second year of his deal. That's how miserable he was in Milwaukee. So now he gets an immediate exit and all his money. He didn't. I mean, I guess there is, and Vinny, I'm curious if you've noticed the same thing this year. Maybe it's been happening for a couple of years, but this year I noticed it more than anything. No one's getting waived. Everyone is getting released to find a better, and a big-time talent has hit the market, and everything is worded as a positive, right? Wave, bad. Released, brought out, like agreed to a dissolution. They got all these euphemisms for they cut his ass, right? So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People get cut. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It's just that they thought they could do something better with this money. That's what getting cut means. With this money or this roster spot. So in the case of Damian Lillard, where he didn't have to give up a dime, the money's still coming in. He gets to choose where he goes, but more importantly, he could choose not to go anywhere. He could choose to go home and hang out with his kids that he's missed for the last 2 years, right? And just be at home every day, rehab, and be at home and take his kids to school and pick them up and all. These are all things he gets to do now without sacrificing a nickel. And then at the end of the year, he can then evaluate, how do I feel? Where do I want to go? Et cetera, et cetera. So Dame didn't get done dirty at all. No.
I mean, I think for all the reasons that you said, like, look, we knew Dame was not happy. Like, we got to rewind back to this. When Dame requested a trade out of Portland, he initially wanted to go to Miami, and Milwaukee stepped in and was like, hey, we don't need any more space between us and the Miami Heat. We're going to intercept this and make the best offer for Damian Lillard, not knowing whether Damian Lillard was actually open to playing in Milwaukee. I believe it's something like a 6-hour flight to get from Milwaukee to Portland. I feel like there's so many more places that you can go to in between that are not as far. So, yeah, I get why. I mean, he may not want to be there and may want to be closer to his babies.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially like somewhere that he didn't want to be in the first place. Because I know a lot of people will say, well, hold on, Vinny. Miami to Portland is the longest flight in the NBA. Yeah, but it's a lot different when you want it to be somewhere with the longest flight. You were prepared to accept that. It's different when you go somewhere where you weren't. That's not where you getting your hopes up for. And so, from that standpoint, I think, look, and I think Damian Lillard probably more so than most guys, because I know someone brought this up that Chris Paul hasn't lived with his kids basically since he was a Clipper, not during the season, right? Because Houston, then OKC, then Phoenix, then Golden State. For most of those stops, he's been close enough to a flight away from home. Never felt the need to move his family. Right. But at the same time, takes a toll, right? Like, I want to be around my family. It's the same situation. It's a different situation, I think, with Damian Lillard. Number one, hadn't had that continuous presence, right? Or excuse me, having had that continuous presence in Portland, and then all of a sudden you're in Milwaukee, and I think this situation is hard. It hits him harder than it might hit a standard player who's living away from home, basically. But at the end of the day, again, the things that we will accept, the sacrifices we will accept, are commensurate with what we think we're getting with them. I'm preparing. I'm gonna play for the Miami Heat. I want to play for this organization, this coach, and I want to play with these teammates. That's what I'm prepared to sacrifice family time for. So it's not a case of where people can just say, well, Milwaukee's good. Giannis is good. Why don't you just want to play there? It's not the same. That's not what he's sacrificing for. He was sacrificing for something specific, and I can see why he was not content.
Look, and here's the thing. Now he's at a spot where he's rehabbing, and he can pretty much choose to not sign with a team, although I think he might wind up signing with a team. I don't think it's necessarily out of the question. Do you think it's best for him to go and be with the Lakers or go and be with some other team, get with their medical staff, get accustomed to at least some things conceptually with the team so that a year from now, whatever condition you are in, even if we're not sure if Damian Lillard is a starting point guard next year because he's going to be 36 years old coming off of an Achilles, would it be better for him to sign with a team, or is it better for him, like you said, to take the year off, do the best rehab and physical therapist that money can buy, and then pick a team next summer?
Look, I mean, it's tough, right? It's tough for any team that's interested in signing him. You're talking about a 2-year deal. No one wants him there for a year, and then like it gets better. Like, all right, thanks a lot, guys, bye, and then he goes and plays somewhere else. So you want him for at least 2 years. Then that next part that comes is like, well, beyond rehabbing, beyond supervising his rehab, what value do we have from having him around? And I think when you say that, when you ask the question that way, I think there's one destination in particular that I think they should be very interested in bringing Damian Lillard in. The Portland Trailblazers.
Pray tell. Ooh, okay. All right.
If I'm the Blazers, right, like bring him in, rehab, all that stuff. Number one, close to the fam. Number two, it might be the only destination out of the interested parties where it's like, we need your intangibles. We need you here to show these guys how to be pros, how to do things the right way. We just saw them get rid of DeAndre Ayton. Why? Right? Jason Quick of The Athletic pretty much laid it all out. The dude was unprofessional. And they didn't want that influence around a bunch of young, impressionable guys that they have high hopes for. Chauncey Billups has a way of he wanted doing things, a way of, just like he was as a player, a way of professionalism in his organization, in his locker room. Who's a better professional and a better leader than Damian Lillard? You come in, you rehab under us, we get you right. In the meantime, you're not going to be isolated from our team. We want you around our rookies. We want you talking to guys, letting them know things on the court, things off the court, how to approach diet, exercise, social life, all those things. He provides a massive value in year one of a deal. And I don't know of any other destination, not the Lakers, not the Heat, not anywhere else, where they could say, no, we need you right now. We don't need you for a year from now. Hope you're feeling better. We need you right now. I think Portland would be a great fit.
Okay, so now that we figured out the Dame stuff, I mean, as you switch locations for the people on YouTube, where does this leave Giannis Antetokounmpo? Like, he signed his extension that from the Dame Lillard trade. That kicks in this year, right? So he has 2 years and a player option for an ungodly amount.
Yeah.
But it feels like the Milwaukee Bucks are not better constructed, better suited to make a run through the Eastern Conference. They don't even have a point guard. So where do they actually go from here? There's some point guards on the market, but it doesn't feel like there's no more moves. There doesn't feel like there's more moves for John Horst and his front office left to play.
Yeah, no, this is so I've been describing this as a team that's been operating under extreme basketball debt, right? It's not like cash owed, but like all their resources are owed. They owe pretty much all their picks through 2030. Or the rights to their picks, right? So whether pick swaps, whether outright first rounders, second rounders are all out the door until about 2030. And so you're put in a position where you can't even, and they, other than a second round pick coming in this upcoming draft, they have nothing incoming. So they've effectively run out of all the resources available to acquire, and then also they've run out of any sort of safety net in terms of if anything goes wrong. And I think that's a big thing to keep in mind. As far as who's on the market, I mean, Chris Paul is still available. And you know, he's damn sure a lot better than a lot of guys you could bring in off of the G League or other point guards on the market. But it just highlights kind of the position you're in. I think ultimately that's the thing about the Damian Lillard stretch waiver is it was a nuclear option. They gave up 2 pick swaps and 2 first rounders for him. One was already conveyed. One conveys in 2 years, right? And then, it conveys in 29, excuse me. The pick swaps are in 28 and 30. And then they also gave up Drew Holiday, who they'd also given up about, 4 first-round picks for. So you hit that red button. It's not, we just swapped out Damian Lillard for Miles Turner. It's not, so we're paying effectively $49 million a year for Miles Turner. It's, you nuked a whole bunch of devoted resources to get Miles Turner. And that's not a knock on Miles Turner, but if we are talking about reasons to hit the nuclear button, it's because there's a risk reward. There's a risk reward. I'm going to take this risk. Why? Because I think my ceiling is amazing if it plays out the way I think it should. Miles Turner's a good center, and he's not overpaid. I see a lot of people trying to crack on how much they paid for him. I think in general, he is in line with all the other starting centers in the market, whether it's Isaiah Hartenstein, whether it's Jared Allen, Nick Claxton, Naz Reid, who technically isn't a starting center, right? It's all around the same salary level. So I don't think his salary is crazy. I just think, what does Miles Turner do for this team? Right. Like, if we start counting teams in the Eastern Conference, do you feel very confident that the Bucks are going to be a top 6 team with Miles Turner? I don't.
Let's count them out. Let's count them out. Let's count them out. New York Knicks, who we're going to get to. They just hired Mike Brown. We're going to talk about them.
1.
New York Knicks. Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes, 2.
Orlando Magic.
3.
Sneaky. Atlanta Hawks.
I'm with it. I can see why people would be skeptical because we still got to see them actually do it. But I'm with you. 4.
Detroit Pistons.
There you go. 5. Keep going.
And does Boston still have enough?
Absolutely. 6. That's 6 right there.
So 6 right there.
We haven't talked about the Philadelphia 76ers. I know it's a punchline, but if they're healthy, like that's a different story. It's a very different story. So you got to talk about the Sixers. And then at that point, so now we've named 7 teams. Now you start to name teams that the Bucks are better than, but it's like, how much better? Because on a bad day, I could see you losing to these cats. The Miami Heat, they're still going to hang around. They're still going to be pesky as ever. I think the Toronto Raptors are going to be a lot better with a healthy Brandon Ingram. I think the Chicago Bulls can be they're irritating enough to be a 10 seed every year, but that's, again, that's irritating enough. And even the Indiana Pacers, who I think they have major question marks because you lost your starting center and your starting point guard. It can't just be, Isaiah Jackson is back. He'll be fine. The guy's coming off an Achilles. And Nembhard and TJ McConnell, it's unfair to ask them to replicate what they did in a 7-game series over 82 games. 82
games. That's impossible.
It's not the same.
It's impossible.
But having said that, it ain't going to be a pushover now. It ain't going to be a walk in the park. Right. So you start looking around. It's like, who are the teams that we know the Bucks are absolutely better than? Charlotte, Washington, Brooklyn.
That it?
I think I stopped counting, man.
I think that's it. And those are teams you're supposed to be better than anyway.
Yes.
Like, this feels like not that Giannis wants to go, because it feels like, I always say this all the time. You leave a relationship when you want to leave the relationship. You stay in a relationship because you don't want to leave the relationship. Giannis does not want to leave Milwaukee, and they keep pressing the nuclear buttons to make him stay. But as his greatness starts to wane, like, we assume that from 2017 until now, you can pencil Giannis in for 30, 11 boards, 6 or 7 assists, a couple of blocks, a steal or whatever. With the way he plays, the violent nature of how he plays, I don't know how much longer he can continue to play this way in a healthy way coming up on age 31. So he almost has to, he should be looking, hot take here, he should be looking at Damian Lillard and saying, you know what? Damian Lillard waited 2 years too long before he made his trade request. Don't let that be me.
Well, Kevin,
you know what I mean?
The ghost of Kevin Garnett hovers around every superstar who's been with his team. KG was MVP of the league in 2004, and then I believe they missed the playoffs in 2005. And
yeah, that was the year where he got the John Thompson crying interview because of Flip Saunders being fired. The next year.
Yep. Flip Saunders got fired.
You don't have.
And then Dwayne Casey came in, and Dwayne Casey was decent, and then they fired him too. But it's like, but this is my point. When people like, oh, these superstars, I can't believe they're how arrogant they are, and they don't take it. Like, it's not about like running from responsibility. The point is that when you are a superstar NBA player, you have a window. Every player has a window. I got to make as much money as possible to support my family. Every single player, right? But then when you're a superstar player, you have a specific window where I have to achieve as many accolades as possible. Chief among them a championship. And if I exit that window, I have lost an opportunity I can never regain, and I'm going to be judged for it, right? I said this after they won the championship. Or like a couple years after they won the championship, I said, Brook Lopez will never have to buy a drink again in Milwaukee. Drew Holiday gets a red carpet everywhere he goes in Milwaukee. Bobby Portis, they chant his name whenever he walks in any establishment. Will never have to get a reservation anywhere. Giannis, they'll say, all you had was one. That's what they'll say about you, right? Those other guys can retire, and obviously Drew Holiday went on and win another one, but they all can retire and everyone say, hey, man, you can't talk to me. I'm an NBA champ. But for Giannis, his conversation goes a little bit further than did you ever win. It's how many did you win? Because I'm measuring myself not against the regular NBA player, the standard NBA player.
Right.
I'm measuring myself against the greats, against the Michaels, the Larrys, the LeBrons, the Steph Currys. I want to be mentioned with them, the Kevin Durant's. I want to be mentioned with them. And if I only have one, I'm at the kiddie table. And that's the desperation of a superstar. It's not about disloyalty. It's not about anything more than I can't waste. I'm 31 years old. I can't waste my time waiting for y'all to get your act together.